We moved and replaced sector, we got trillions for. Yeah, we didn't.
Okay, folks, we are live again. And we had an interruption. To vote, Tim, can you just go over that vote procedure again? Yes.
Sure. So at the annual meeting, we elect the officers for the next term, the one-year term, and the officer positions that we will be voting on tonight is for chairperson, vice chairperson, and treasurer. And the process is that we'll seek nominations from the board members. Then there needs to be a second to that nomination, or a motion to that nomination, then a second, and then a majority vote for that nomination to be valid, to be voted on. And then once the motion, the particular candidate, we'll go ahead and vote. I'll collect the votes and I'll read them aloud. And then we'll do the same for the vice chairperson and the treasurer. So, so to get started, I'll seek nominations from any of the board members for the officer position of chairperson. Claire?
How does this work? I'm sorry, we're supposed to just call out?
No, you have to make a nomination.
Yeah, you can just call out, we'll do a vote on it. And we'll go ahead and do a vote. We'll do a motion. There has to be a motion and second and approved for each nomination that's made.
So we need a second for Ravonda. Is that what
We need a motion and a second. So,
No, she just made a motion.
okay, so she made the motion, so
Right.
we need the second. That is correct.
Give a second.
Edric? Who was it, Edric or?
Yeah. Edric. Okay, I make a motion for.
Wait a second. So there was a motion and a second. I
Yep.
just need a vote from the board, and there has to be a majority of that vote.
For her to be nominated,
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
So,
for her to be one of the people nominated that we vote on when we go into the vote.
that's correct. So there's a motion and a second. We need a vote for that.
For her to be, okay,
To-
that's an extra step I don't know, but that's okay.
Yep.
All right.
Did we do that last time?
Wait a second. So, so go, Tim, you're officiating this.
So all in favor of the nomination for chairperson for Ravonda Smith? All in favor?
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
So we can vote for somebody to be nominated and then vote for somebody else to be nominated?
That is
as
correct.
well?
Yes, we can have more than one, we can have as many nominations as you want, but the board has to sanction that nomination.
I see.
So
Okay.
And then we do the vote.
Then we do the vote.
So, go ahead.
So we have a motion and a second for Ravonda Smith for chairperson. So all in favor of that nomination, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
There was a majority vote?
Yeah.
So that passes. So Ravonda's name will be voted on by the board.
And that's the vote that we write on the piece of paper.
Right.
Yes.
So I'll ask for any other nominations for the position, officer position of chairperson.
So I want to nominate Marie Bell
Okay.
and,
So there's a motion, is there a second?
Rebecca second.
Rebecca. Okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So there's two candidates for the officer position of chairperson. Are there any other nominations by the board?
For all three posts?
No, just
No,
for
just for
chairperson.
Okay, sorry.
position of chair.
Got
Do we vote on it or do we?
Yeah, we're gonna vote on, as soon as there's no more nominations, we'll vote on that right now.
You don't just do all three?
We can do it any way you want. If you want to do it that way, that's
Yeah, it would
fine.
be easier. 'Cause
But certainly-
you just put.
If we do all three, then the second person might be voted for vice chair, so we have to wait.
Okay.
So let me just clarify, are there any other nominations for chairperson? Okay, if not, everyone can go ahead and place their vote for either Marie Bailey or Ravonda Smith for chairperson. And then go ahead and fold your paper in half, and I'll collect those and read the results.
But then you're gonna give us the papers back, because then we would need 9 papers.
Three. You all have three.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Go scroll down. Can I circle it or do I have to write it down?
Whatever you want, circle, write it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You want to do that? Are you going to continue?
So there is one discrepancy. One of the commissioners voted for Rebecca Wolf. Rebecca wasn't nominated, so I don't know, who voted for that person, but,
What's going on? What happened?
we could just make that an invalid vote. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't.
Oh, somebody voted for Rebecca.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the results of the vote are Marie Bailey with 5 votes, Ravonda Smith with 1 vote. So Marie has won the, vote for the officer position of chairperson. Okay? So the next officer position is for vice chairperson. Again, we'll go through the same steps. We'll go through, any nominations for the officer position of vice chairperson, please? Ravonda Smith, yeah.
I'll second that.
Who said that?
Rebecca.
Is there a second, that was a second? Claire, you said that, right?
No, I don't, no motion, go back a second.
Yeah, okay. All in favor of Ravonda Smith, as a candidate for vice chairperson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other nominations for vice chairperson?
Oh, I'm sorry. I nominate Robert.
I need a second to that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion for Robert Davis as officer for vice chairman, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries for majority vote. So there are 2 candidates for vice chairperson, Ravonda Smith and Robert Davis. Are there any more nominations for the officer position of vice chair?
You don't want to do it?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We'll take that.
It's not really complicated.
Is there a second to that motion?
So, well, he actually declined.
You decline, okay. All right, are there any other nominations? Okay, if not, then we'll go ahead and move forward with the vote for the officer position of vice chair. Again, mark your vote and, hold it up. Just remember the two candidates are Ravonda Smith and Robert Davis.
May I ask a question to the attorney? While we're waiting?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Garriga, I'm a representative of this area.
Yes.
As you were coming in, to the meeting, the chair has stated that today is his last day. And my question is that legal for him to still vote? As he stated, it's his last day, that he will no longer be, chairman because he has other responsibilities that he feels that X, Y, and Z, and then he's voting and making nominations. So that's my question and concern.
He's still a sitting member until his term is expired, so he's still a sitting member, so he can vote as long as he's a member of the board.
And I'm actually gonna officially step down tomorrow, just for,
As long as he's still a member, he can vote.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have the results for the officer position of vice chair. Ravonda Smith received 5 votes, Robert Davis, received 2 votes. So Ravonda, Smith has won the officer position of vice chair. Congratulations. So the next officer position is for treasurer. I'll be seeking nominations for that officer position.
And I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion in a second to nominate Rebecca Wolf. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Are there any other nominations for the position of treasurer?
I nominate Claire.
Claire?
I do too.
So there's a motion in second to nominate Claire Cousin as the officer position of treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So we have 2 nominations, Rebecca Wolf and Claire Cousins. Are there any other nominations?
I was gonna nominate Edric unless he declines. Okay. Then I'll nominate. But no.
Okay, no other nominations for treasurer? Okay, if no other nominations, go ahead and place your vote. I'll collect those.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's on that.
There's some names on the back too. It's double-sided.
Okay, Rebecca.
I know, it's probably all the stuff you do all the time.
So, we have this, there's a 3-3 tie. The, one commissioner voted for Ravonda, who isn't, on the nomination list. So, we may have to revote this again, okay? Because of that discrepancy.
Re-voted.
Yeah, got it, okay. So I'm just gonna pass these out again. I don't have any extra
It's
sheets.
a tough function.
Just use a blank sheet that they can write the name on one
Yeah,
of their
okay.
candidates. Everybody, do we have 7 blank sheets of paper?
Actually, I
No.
I got loads of paper.
I have bigger. Okay, so the nominations are for Claire Cousin and Rebecca Wolf are the two.
Comment.
You can either put CC or RW, whatever you want.
Comments or questions that we could respond to afterwards. Could that be?
I can email it.
Yeah, I threw my bag out last week.
Oh, there's a live chat?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. What? Well, I didn't realize there was a live chat.
Oh, are people asking us questions?
No, but if you want that as a feature, you gotta let me know.
Okay, yeah.
That's a big thing, that's a whole nother thing.
What, live chat or?
Not the live chat, but if people want, like, I have another mechanism where people can send in an email with questions. And then we get it, but that's a different thing than live chat. Because they might have a question that they don't want the public to see. And then we can do it that way, but that's,
Okay.
and I think what we would do, if we're gonna do that, we would only entertain the live chat, so like, at the end.
Did someone not submit their Randall?
Randall, he told him.
I thought the person's name twice, so.
What do you think?
Okay, so the results of the vote are Rebecca Wolf received 4 votes, Claire Cousin received 3 votes. So the officer position of treasurer, voted for Rebecca Wolf. Okay. Congratulations to everyone, for your appointments. This is a 1-year term. It'll expire, September, at our September annual meeting, 2021. Okay? So, that closes out our annual meeting for the year, and, we can go ahead and move forward into our regular agenda with Marie Valley taking the helm, as chairperson, Ravonda Smith is vice chair, and Rebecca Wolf is president.
Okay,
Thank you all,
Thank
and good luck.
Thank you.
Whatever help you need, just let me know.
Yeah, so I'll try to get through this pretty quickly, and if I need some help, Randall,
Yep.
I'm obviously
Okay.
going to turn to you. So I'm just looking at the time, and I'm wondering if, before we get on, is there anybody who would be opposed to moving the top 3 priorities for the coming year to our next meeting?
Oh, well,
Or do you want to do that tonight?
I did want
Okay,
to make
fine.
sure that we talked
All right,
about.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, let's look at the first item, approving meeting minutes from September 9th. Regular meeting, has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes? And are there any questions before we move on to, vote to approve the meeting, to approve the minutes? All right. You got a question? Or you good?
No, I was saying,
You're good? All right, do I have a
I have a
motion?
motion for the approved minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll make a motion, actually.
All right, are we all in favor of approving the minutes?
Yeah.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No? All right, meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to item number 2. Accounts payable for September 2020. Has everybody had a chance to sort of have a look at these, and if they've had any questions, please
I did
tell.
Yeah, I had just a question about, why, or just like the explanation for, the difference between the really large difference between what was budgeted for rental dwelling rental, that line, it's the first line of income,
What's wrong with him?
on page 1.
And the profit and the loss.
Oh, the profit and loss budget versus actual.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, yeah, so the first line of income is, budgeted to be, it looks like, I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, it's budgeted to be almost 70,000, but it's actually 37 or 38 almost thousand. And
What's wrong?
the first line.
Oh, I'm
is-
looking at the wrong thing, that's why. Oh, I see, yes, sorry.
Trying to understand that, and then I see that in other income, another big discrepancy is like budgeted 34,000 and actual is 1,700.
Chip?
So what was the second one, Ron, or, Rebecca? You got the rental income,
Well, first the rental income, yep, and so line 3110, whatever that, and then other income, which is budgeted at 34,000.
Oh, yeah, right, that one.
The 3690.
yeah, those have to be discrepancies, I'm not sure. That actually looks like a 2-month, those were 2-month numbers in there, I can guarantee you those are 2 months. She must have put the combined 2 months numbers in there. I'll have to verify that for you and I'll email you tomorrow, but that would be the logical explanation for me.
Okay.
That she combined 2 months, that should be just 1 month. That would make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, those are both discrepancies.
When you say she combined, who would that be?
That would be, Tricia does the profit and loss based on our QuickBooks. So our QuickBooks numbers merge into our profit and loss statement. So she obviously calculated these wrong.
No, but you're saying that there's no, well, what would be your guess in the actual, is it dwelling rentals? Have they gone up, gone down?
No, not to that extreme. They've gotta be, that's gotta be a combined number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only logical explanation for both of those.
Okay. What is other income typically?
Other income is usually, fees that are generated, that are collected from the residents for various items that we charge, laundry, the money that we receive from laundry.
Are there any other questions regarding the finances?
Yeah,
Okay,
I am on trial balance. The first page of that, where it starts at 4190 Sun Drive. Which is this page here.
Okay, yeah. So other admin.
So Sun Drive, can you let me know what that is?
Yeah, those are typical expenses that, are usually budgeted in our budget, and those can be, typically small items, that we purchase, over the course of the year. That come up unexpectedly that we purchase, items for.
And this is an accrued number, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
This isn't just for September, this is
Right, that's, right,
several months worth of,
that's,
we keep
for
adding
the
to it,
period,
starting in June,
July is our
starting in July.
fiscal year, so yeah, so that would be, something, that could be, shirts for the guys, uniforms, that would be a sundry.
How often do they get uniforms?
Typically, twice a year, we purchase, shirts for them, winter shirts, summer shirts.
But that's what's amazing, the sundry is like miscellaneous.
Exactly right, yep.
Any other questions?
Yes, I'm on that same page and I'm looking at, materials and other.
Yep, materials and other, that would be, typically, maintenance materials. We're currently working on, the vacant units. We've been redoing the bathrooms on all the vacant units, stripping them down, putting the tub surrounds in them. And, some, other miscellaneous work that, occurs throughout the building, that would all fall under materials. If a resident needs, work done, there's a hole in the wall or electrical work, that would all fall under materials. And that's, again, a few of various materials that we purchase.
And then right above that, it says labor, ordinary maintenance.
Yeah, that's our, yeah, that's, contractors that we had to have come in to do various work that, our guys aren't able to do. Whether it's large plumbing projects, if, there's a plumbing issue where the clogged, we have to hire a company to come in and blow the lines out with special equipment. Or if we have electrical issues, our guys are not licensed electricians, so we have to bring in electrical contractors. So anything of that nature, that we have to call in a larger contractor to perform the work, that would fall under that.
Are there any other questions?
And if anybody wants to see any of the specific invoices to those, I can certainly show you those or email you those.
So do you guys, well, do we want to table the acceptance of finance until we get those corrections?
Well, yeah,
We could vote on it with the assumption that those are going to be corrected, right? We wouldn't have to table it first, we just would include, yes.
Why would we not want to table it? Why would we just assume?
Yeah, that's,
I don't want to do that.
All right, I mean, we can,
however you guys want to do it, whatever you're comfortable
if you guys would prefer not to vote on the finances until you want to do, how would we want to do this? Some kind of special meeting, or do we want to wait next month then?
Is there a
You want to wait till next
Do they
month
have
to
to be
vote?
approved in order for something to happen?
Okay.
No, we're just sanctioning the expenses. It can happen next month, absolutely.
Okay, fine, so we'll table this until next month.
And just in the future, anybody, typically these are sent out before the meeting. If you have any questions, email me so I can bring the documentation to answer your questions better on any type of, question you have, or if you see something that, you're not sure what it is or expense, just email me. I can research it. I can get all the invoicing and bring it with me so everybody understands what the question is, and I can answer it for you that way.
Yeah, in fact, Kim and I spoke on the phone yesterday. We're definitely gonna make sure that at the very least, the packet with the agenda and the profit and loss statements are gonna go out a week before the meeting. So there'll be plenty of time to look at these documents, get questions put together, so that when we come to the meeting, if there is that kind of question, we've already answered it. It's been resolved already. right? I think that's the best way to do this. So, yeah, so we'll just hold off on this one and we'll approve it with the other one next month.
Yeah.
Assuming everybody's good with that. All right.
And anybody can shoot me an email anytime, just let, shoot me something.
And Tim, you're just gonna send us all an email with the answer to that one.
That is correct. I'll have it for you tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, let's move on to number 3, which is the RAD loan status. I presume, Tim, this is something that you're gonna update us on?
Yes, we're still waiting. There's no movement by HUD in the review of our application. So we're waiting for, word from HUD. From what I understand, through emails from our lender who's helping us through this application process, this loan application process by HUD, HUD has confirmed that they are likely going to accept the transaction that our lender has put together for our loan application, but they're still undertaking the review and the underwriting of that, and that hasn't been completed, but there is a positive that it looks like HUD will accept the transaction. They just have to finalize some of the details in the underwriting. So I'm hoping that we're supposed to possibly hear word maybe this week from HUD about getting some form of an engagement letter.
All right. And what did I forget, remind me what we applied for in the end?
Well, we're eligible for up to $8 million.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we're moving forward with the application. However,
Okay.
It's not likely we're
Then we
going
would
to
not
secure
necessarily take
8
all
million.
that.
We don't need 8 million, but
Okay.
we'll decide as a board,
Yep.
once we get all the information, we'll decide what amount we're actually going to approve. And we'll do that through a formal resolution, and then we'll submit that with the application of what the actual funding is that we're requesting.
Are there any other questions about the RAD loan status?
So the RAD loan, this is the loan associated with the 29 units that are offline.
Well, it's for more than that. So,
What is that included in that?
yes.
Okay.
And that's a good question. So the loan that we're looking to secure, and this was all part of the RAD conversion because we weren't getting enough money. We were never going to get enough money under the current Public 9 program that we were under with HUD. So we converted to RAD to leverage this private debt, and we can get a larger amount for the various needs that we have, which include the 25 units that are offline. We need to replace our elevator.
25 or 29?
It's 25.
25.
Yep. We need to replace the elevator. We're obviously going to get reimbursed for the rooftop boilers that we just replaced, which was over $200,000. We need a new roof. And there are other various projects that need to be completed throughout the high rise and the low rise.
So the bathroom work that you just were talking about, I thought that was in those 25 units.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're able to
We're,
have work going forward, you're just not able to.
we needed to get the process started.
Yeah.
Our maintenance guys had the capacity to do it, so they started it. So hopefully it'll speed up the process of turning those units around because they won't have to do the bathrooms, it'll be done. At least, we haven't done all 25 bathrooms. I think we've done 10 bathrooms so far. So we needed to get a jump on it. And so we had the time and the staff to do it, so we've been doing that. At least to show that there was some movement, that we were making progress in rehabbing those units.
So I have a question about that, because I know we were always in every meeting talking about how we needed the loan for the, what I thought was 29, which is now 25 units.
Yes.
So like, where did you guys just decide and get the funding to start working on these when I thought they were offline because there wasn't any money to work on these? Like, when did it come up that we're gonna start moving forward because we can't wait anymore? I thought we were waiting on funding.
That's a good question. So We do have a small amount of operating funds that we decided to dedicate for this because essentially what we were talking about is labor and removing the items in the bathroom. So we can do it much cheaper with our staff and paying our staff to do it rather than a contractor that we have to pay prevailing wage rate to. So we earmarked some of the funding operating funding that we have for that purpose in a way to save money in the long term, so we wouldn't have to pay a contractor to do it. So we're kind of saving it on the back end when, when we get the loan, we don't have to have a contractor to do that work. It's already done. And it's cheaper, it'll be cheaper for us in the long run.
I was never under the assumption that we would be paying a contractor. I thought we would be using our own staff this whole time to do those units. I didn't know that we were paying people to do these units. Like, I just feel like that is a little backwards when we have staff. Like, and I see a lot of staff all the time. When I'm leaving work, they're all in a huddle walking up to the store. I didn't know that we weren't using our own manpower, and I didn't know that we actually could move forward to start getting these units online so families can get in, and our waiting list is so long. Like, I just really would like to know, like, how and where and how the funding to do this, when I really thought we had no money to do this, and our list was so long. Like, if we could have did this before I was even on this board, I think that should have been done immediately.
Well, we don't have no money. We do have some money, but our funding is limited. Our funding is limited, so we have to be careful on how we use that funding. So we have a finite amount of operating reserves available, but we don't have enough of operating funds to do everything in the building. Obviously, we had an important mechanical replacement that had to occur, which was very expensive. But the items that we're talking about doing in the 25 units has to be done efficiently and with a professional staff that knows how to do the electrical and the plumbing. Our staff is not certified in electrical and plumbing or licensed in that area. So we have to do that. Nor do they have the expertise in removing and, doing large sheetrock projects and installing, kitchen stuff like that. So we have to hire it out as a contractor so we can get it done as quickly as possible and back online as quickly as possible. I mean, our maintenance.
Can I suggest something actually, because we haven't done this in a while? Maybe we should do another tour of lists, because we went through the apartments that need to be done about a year ago. And it would be good for us all to see where we are with regards to the renovations. I don't know if people are interested in doing that.
Yeah.
My question, I think what Vonda was asking to begin with was like, how did that decision come about? Are we supposed to be privy to that information before you decide that you're gonna pay the maintenance man instead of a contractor? That was where the confusion was. Like, no, or that's just.
Like, I didn't know that there was funding that we can pull from, because if there was funding we can pull from, I don't think I would be doing 15 bathrooms. I'd be focused on one, get that done, get a family in, move on to the next one. I don't care about 15.
Can I just say,
She's finished her conversation on the floor. I don't care about 15 bathtubs and showers being put into 15 different apartments. I feel like we should focus on this beautiful 5-bedroom apartment, this other 5-bedroom apartment, because the list has a ton of people that need those apartments.
Right.
And maybe focus there, get families in, instead of breaking it down to 15 different showers and tubs and apartments that no one can be in. Like, why aren't we focusing on one at a time or something?
Let me just see if I have it straight, and I think what the issue is what Tim is saying is that the people who we have at his disposal to do work in those apartments right now are not qualified to do like an entire apartment.
No one is.
They can just do like whatever sort of removing or some kind of demolition or whatever is happening in whatever it is that they're doing, but it's not like, they're not like plumbers and electricians. They can't do all the work to get the apartment completed.
We have
No,
one.
but what I'm saying is he has funding that we could pull from to at least get one apartment done, where we can get the electrician contractor, where we can get the plumber, and get a whole family inside. That's what I'm talking about.
But let me just say this,
And we can absolutely do that.
No, we done, we did do.
What is the amount of funding that you have?
We did do 12 apartments where that was work that they could do. And the problem with using the local maintenance guys is that they also have their hands full with doing the building itself. So anytime that we task them to do like a different project or even a clean out, the work in the apartments, suffered.
Right.
And so
So the priority on this 5-bedroom apartments, I think, is important, but what is the funding, like he just asked, and who approves that? Like, what is that process?
Well, generally,
That's a bigger question.
for me, we as a board determine policy, general policy. In the way that I understand it, the day-to-day operations of the maintenance and what they do, we give the executive director guidance, and then, he carries it out on the ground the way that it is. Now, the board can be more explicit and delve into it, but generally, we've been giving guidance, and, they're on the floor, they're in the building, in the facility, so they're at the best vantage point to understand what needs to be done and with the resources. And I have to say that Tim has been doing, in my opinion, an excellent job of delegating and trying to keep the building, the needs of the critical systems that are crumbling, along with the apartments that need emergency repairs. I mean, all of this is kind of a fine balance. And so,
But do we do those things as they come up? Like, does the board see that?
no, I don't think so. I
Well,
mean,
no, we've talked about, we get an update from Tim about what apartments are offline.
yes, but
How
not
much
exactly how he's
each
doing
one-
them and what
No,
contractors
not
he's using.
necessarily.
You can.
But I suppose there-
Any information.
But
you want.
listen, there might be an apartment that that's so close, I don't know, I mean, that's the thing, when we went on tour, some of them were really shocked. Like, clearly the maintenance guys were not gonna be able to get those up to standards.
And all the broken
Acceptable.
walls and things like
Yeah,
that.
like, there were quite a few of them, there were also some with mold problems, so that's a whole other series of kind of, professional expertise required to deal with all of that, but I wonder if it might not be a bad idea for us to do that exercise again, like in the next month, to see which apartments are offline and how far along each one of them is. Are there any that we can get online quickly by, through our own, maintenance staff? We could certainly do that, because I just don't
Just
know.
to go back, just one question,
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to, I think what your question was, to some degree, or both of your questions, all of your questions are, especially for some of the newer members of the board. We have different resolutions that have been passed since I've been at these meetings with regard to authority of the executive director on spending. And I think that there's some general, do we have anything of a general guideline of kind of what does the board kind of take as far as their actions on a monthly basis? Because we're here once a month. Tim's here every day. And what authority does Tim have under his general guidelines of what he does on a day-to-day basis of management? I think that might be good to distribute to everyone, especially we have, 4 new members really of the board from 6 months ago.
But I do also think that it makes sense that, it's also a good conversation to have, to ask like, oh, well, like what you're asking, I mean, I guess I've been, taking it for granted that whatever needs to happen in those departments is happening, but maybe a different strategy could be better, to just kind of.
And we can have that conversation, absolutely. And just so the board is aware, our maintenance supervisor is the only one qualified that has the expertise to do the work that we're talking about in these units. The other guys were hired as janitors, and we've actually expanded their roles beyond the janitorial role to do some of these things, but they still have to be done in the oversight of maintenance supervisors. So we're very limited in what we can do in these units. Some basic deconstruction, obviously we can do, but when we get into some of the, the finer things of the rehab, they don't have the expertise of doing that.
Frankly, the board, you shouldn't as a board want to take that liability on by having internal people do those types of repairs.
No, but I
You wanna
think,
have a contractor who's insured to make those repairs and has got expertise in it.
right, and I think what is being suggested is that maybe it's time to like, just get some contractors and.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Listen,
Yeah.
nobody expected that the process was gonna take this long. You know, we're all frustrated. You know, we had a project, in front of the city. We had a developer that didn't work out, and that put us behind schedule because honestly, we would be 3/4 away through the rehab of this building. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
So then we changed gears and we got into this loan, this RAD and doing this loan. Little did we know the pandemic was going to occur, and then the bottlenecking of the review by HUD.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was another, but, we're still getting the subsidies of those vacant units from the U.S. HUD. They have authorized us to take those units offline, and we're able to do that for 3 years and still receive funding while those units are offline. Keeping in mind that there's still families that need housing that should be in those units when we get that, right? So,
Sorry, is the funding from that, can we just like use those funds to put into rehab the apartment? I mean.
well, we can earmark, listen, we don't have $0 in our operation. We have a good chunk of change, right? But it's a finite amount of money, and we have to be careful how we use it because there are some other big ticket items that could go at any time, like the elevators. That's a $500,000 project, and if it goes beyond the repair, then we need to have some money in our operatings for that rainy day when that occurs. Or if our roof fails, we're gonna need $250,000 to fix the roof if it fails, and it's almost there. I was showing Randall and Robert the whole parapet of the building along the roof line. The rebar is showing. There's chunks of cement falling off from the outside of the building.
And there was a leak
Yeah,
there recently. and
yeah,
we-
there's leaks all over the place, so we have to be careful how much we're spending. We can spend a little here and there, but we still have to keep a good chunk in case we run into a problem down the road. Obviously, this rooftop boiler was a huge expense. That's gonna take a chunk out of our budget, but it had to be done. So, but no, I completely understand where you're coming
No, we
from.
want to get those apartments online.
Yeah, I'm
We
with
wanna get those
you. Trust me,
apartments online.
that's my biggest,
Yeah.
my biggest frustration right now. And, if we want to change strategies and focus on one and spend some money to get a contractor in here and do that one, I'm open to that. That's fine. I have no issue with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about putting a schedule together to go on a tour. Sorry, Tiffany, yes, please, sorry.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Number one, when you spoke about, let's do another tour,
Yes,
I think that's a great idea. Maybe it, gives a recollection of, and remembrance of people that was already on that tour and forgot.
Yeah.
And, gives the new members some insight
Yeah.
who doesn't know.
Yeah.
For example, to the new members, the last time that I remember, this board has done a tour was during the last council term. And that was to show the new lobby and things of that nature, and not really what was behind the walls. As you can see above our heads, what's happening and what's been happening. Excuse me,
Yeah.
and with that being said, I was contacted by one of my constituents who had to be moved out of her apartment because the entire ceiling caved in. From the living room, the kitchen, as well as her bathroom. And I remember when I resided in this building on the 9th floor, I used to say to the executive directors from then and after, the ceiling is going to cave in. It's fortunate that she did not get hurt, that she will be able to sue this building. But that needs to be taken care of, so I'm glad that you can do a tour, and actually, not a tour to look at the new furnishings, but actually do a tour to actually take care of the residents in this building from here and future. Second question, was this building have any parts of the DRI funding?
No,
Not at all?
no, it was for the site across the street.
Interesting. And the elevators have always been an issue. There are documentations of fire departments coming to this building, having to break down the elevator door just to release residents that were stuck inside for hours. Quoting other executive directors from the past, the only money that is constantly being used is just putting Band-Aids on the situation. Have you all been looking for fundings for this $500,000 that you stated that is needed for the elevator? Are you making payment plans or something to that extent? Next question, I hope you have it all down. I've been contacted and I did reach out to the executive director about the staircase being closed. He said it was addressed and it was open, but I was contacted by my constituents that the exiting portion of the staircase was locked. Whatever number I'm on. My constituents and their family and their friends and their children and friends also contacted me, and I have pictures for you board members if you do not have it or do not know or not aware of it. There is a sign on the basketball court that states no trespassing. This is public housing, that is a public park, and we are about community in this building, and we are in this area, not just this building, and we are about, being one in kind to our neighbors and our children, and having a sign like that is intimidating for a child that lives in Scarlet Court, that lives in the Hudson Terraces. Why are we using this type of intimidation for children and even young adults that are looking for some type of sport activities, when I know there were issues in the past and the community was willing to work with the board, with the residents of the building to keep everything copacetic? That is a huge issue and concern. You all are talking about your staff members are not, do not have all these different qualifications that is needed. One question, Tim, I wanted to ask you, is putting up sheetrock, is that considered construction or just standard construction that you said your maintenance can take care of?
Typically, sheetrock construction on a larger scale over and above the required de minimis size has to be done by a professional asbestos certified contractor, which
Okay.
our staff does not have that certification.
Well, if that is the case, and you knew that since you've been in position, and possibly your former chair, who is still the chair today, that knew that already, you all should have looked into having some type of training for your staff, so you already have that in-house. You don't have to do contracts, you have that, unless the contract is absolutely necessary for a huge job, you should have that training here within your staff. So I'll save the other questions towards the end, but those are my questions for right now.
So shall we consider this,
Remove
this
the sign.
conversation, I'm sorry?
Remove the signs, the request.
Oh, right, we're gonna,
And the other request for many years outside of the building, from former executives and even with Tim Matisse, it has been requested from residents of the building and even from the community. The first sign that you have in the entrance of this building states no alcohol, as if this building is some type of facility. You have a sign here inside a community room that is limited, that says Bliss Towers Community Room. It has been requested, as many signs are throughout New York State public housing, that tells you the name of the building and welcome to that building. And then it's been requested to have a sign out front that says, welcome to Bliss Towers.
Okay, so I would like to suggest that this conversation that we've just had is actually the facilities update, unless there are other facilities questions that are. Tim, did you get down the questions that Tiffany had?
Yep.
All right.
And if you
So we'll
didn't
get back
contact me,
to, Tiffany, we'll get back to you like an email with answers to all the questions, including the issue of the basketball court, because that has come up before. So we do have to solve the basketball court issue. We talked about it last week quite
the
extensively.
sign is an issue, the
Yeah.
maintenance of the court,
Yeah.
of your, responsibility.
Yeah, no, we are.
And I'm
we're
talking
definitely
about
aware that it
level of
needs
the
to be done.
ground and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah.
Putting back the hoop.
Okay, are there any other comments for this meeting regarding the facilities? All right, I think then we will move on. Do we still want to talk about the top three priorities, or do we want to move that on to next month? Does anyone have a preference? If no one has a preference, I say we should do it next month, since it's already 7:30, and I'm guessing most people would probably like to meet. Okay, so we'll table that. Tim, we're gonna table the top three priorities for the next meeting. Resident commissioners, any reports?
None for me.
Anybody? No? Is there any other business that anyone would like to discuss? Even stuff that we can put on for next agenda if there's anything else? No?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Next Saturday, I have the insurance for the event.
Gotcha.
But my organization, the Hudson Castle House Coalition, is putting on a information session behind the low rise about the, rent moratorium and evictions. We have a lawyer coming to give advice.
And it's Saturday coming up,
24th, yeah.
at what time?
From 12 to 3, so we're gonna have some kids' activities, we encourage social distancing, masks, we're gonna have phones set up so that kids can stand in the lines, distance from each other. But
Tim, do we have that on the calendar or on our website? Do we
I
have?
think if Claire wants to, email us the flyer, we'll print them up and we'll hang them
We'll hang them
up.
up.
Yeah.
All right.
She's already emailed me about the event, so.
All right.
And I have one other thing.
Yeah, please.
The only thing that was, concerning to me is there was a back to school event, that was held by Annette Perry and, Shakira Stokes. They came into the office and asked Trish if they were able to use the grounds to hold this back to school event. Trish had informed them no. So, they were able to get, down the hill there, what it's called, yes. But the thing that was concerning about me is, I had to take, a couple of boys that live on the property down because their sister's in a wheelchair and their mother couldn't take the wheelchair down the hill. They don't drive, they walk. So people that live on the premises that could have got a haircut here where they live, and their mother would have had to call me and ask me to bring them down the hill to get a haircut, was very disturbing to me. I've been getting told over and over again, people come in and want to rent either the room or just fill out paperwork for outside, and Trish is informing them no. When really she should be informing them the proper paperwork that they have to fill out and the guidelines, but instead she's saying no.
So the back to school event that you're referring to, that didn't take place on the property?
It did not. It took place at Cherry Hill because Trish would not allow it to take place on the property.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Yeah, no, sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
The reason Trish said no is because she asked Annette if she could get insurance. That was the problem. So I'm tired of hearing Trish getting pushed under the bus all the time.
is there insurance that, like, I know when you have to fill out a mass gathering permit for the city, you have like insurance that you can Like they have a resource that you can go to. Do you guys have one on hand that you can suggest to people to go through?
Yeah, typically, we have an employee, here that does a number of events, and she goes through, that type of, insurance resource. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but. yeah,
Because is that made available to people when they ask?
Well, you can get it online, you can get insurance, like event insurance
Right,
online.
They're
It shouldn't be for Trish or anybody that works here or anybody on the board to recommend an insurance provider. It should be-
Well, just the process.
If there's something that the city offers, they can go through the city.
Exactly.
That's fine, and she can refer them to the city to find out about it.
Right.
But we should not be in the business of referencing,
No,
of
but
referring
the
any
process.
individual for that.
We can-
Like by
we can
telling
refer them
somebody
to the
no, and they've never thrown an event before.
Yeah.
What are your steps to be able to throw an
Exactly,
event?
she should be helping her in every way she can, no matter what event.
And that is the truth. Annette Perry is a born and raised resident in the city of Hudson. And that's the thing about some of the board members that I would like you to get to know, the people that you're representing. Yeah, born and raised here. She has done a lot of community events without having paperwork. She has done it from the bottom of her heart. Now she has a program called Feed the Belly program. She donates food in the community. She works with the youth department. She volunteers with them. She works in this community. And what she does is all about helping children, whether it's whatever type of event it is. She's not charging, and she's putting on an event. She had posted all over social media and collecting donations of free book bags and food and people volunteering their time to cook without any charge. And we do it in this part of the second ward, because this is Bliss Towers, it's a public building and has an open space, and this is what the community is used to coming to. So when she came here, she didn't come here to expect the answer no. She came here to expect, well, this is what you have to do in order to do your event here.
Well, we will
And-
make sure that that happens.
That's
Well,
what
that is what,
It
excuse me, I'm not finished. And Maria, the chair, as you said, you will make sure that will not happen again.
Well, we'll make sure that people get the information they need.
Well, thank you, because
Yeah.
what she has done, has been a service to the community. And especially during, and people losing their jobs.
Sure.
This was a big help to
No, we'll make
families.
sure that they get all the the information they need to go to the city to find out about insurance. Because as you say, since we can't recommend it, the city will have a program for
The
them.
city can
Yeah.
take care of it.
And liability is probably even a bigger issue now than it was a year ago because of the pandemic and social distancing and mask wearing, but we will definitely make
And
sure.
all of that was
If
a part of
anybody
her
who wants to use this
proposal
room in
that was
insurance.
discarded. And hand sanitizers,
Yeah.
all the precautions.
No, we'll do it. No,
I think it's just about transparency.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
that, like, a lot of the complaints I heard from the last meeting were around, like, the unwillingness to just go the extra step, and it only takes a couple seconds. Like, when tenant comes down with concern, it shouldn't be a bother, or they shouldn't feel like they're bothering you by asking you for advice, or what do I do? And that seems like the tone that people are getting. And Annette has been throwing events, so, I mean, now she's an organization. She's her own organization, and she's gonna do it whether Tris gave her the information or not, but.
So if we make sure that we have the insurance information available in the office for, not just her, but for anyone.
Right,
But
but
that's,
beyond that,
and that's
they don't
and that's
understand
another thing I would
people
like to bring up,
want.
because people from this area and people from this building should not be disregarded because they are a person of color or because they live in low income. There have been other organizations that have come to Bliss Towers and went to right in that office and said, I would like to do such and such, and it was greeted with, okay, here you go, this is what you can do, call me if you have questions. Everyone should be treated the same way.
I agree. Agreed. All right,
Could I ask for something to be on the next agenda, which is
course.
that we would, have a conversation about the tenants association?
that is on our top 3 list of things that yes,
Cool.
let us talk about that. Keep that in mind as well for your top 3 issues. Okay, All right, if there are no other questions, I am going to ask that we make a motion to,
Oh,
yes, sorry,
yes.
yes,
Well, this is something you guys, to me, bring up.
yes.
I was talking to, Chairman Robert, about the possibility of using some of the COVID funds to stock up
Yes,
on PPE and for maybe food supplies, extra food supplies for the residents, to integrate that with the food, with the food pantry over there. So that's just a thought.
well,
Just have that.
we could talk to Tim about putting something together for that for next month that we can vote on in terms of getting some money to.
Yeah, because we have it.
Because we've talked about how we're gonna deploy that money, and maybe we need to have a little bit of a conversation.
Deploy it
about
to
that.
people's apartments.
Yeah, well, we could, I mean, we can have,
We
there's a
have,
limit to how much that, how that money can be used, but I
that
think
limit
that.
can
we
go
need to
far in
create-
an apartment. I mean, just think about it, you have the, food pantry that's already set up here that people from the community, just, not just the residents can go to. You have the youth department that has collected donations that's been giving out food. You have Hudson Catskill Housing Coalition that's been also donating food that farmers drop off to them. So you have that. So please don't use those resources on things you already have.
I was saying, we should probably talk about this, because we've had we just don't have time to do it now, but we have talked about how we're gonna use those funds. So we can put that on the schedule for next week to see what's left, see what we really could do with the money. Like, it's not a huge amount either, so it's kind of,
Well, now is the time. You can do some job training. You have the computers.
yeah, that's
You have the
possible.
space.
I mean, I think we should make a little list, see how much we've got left, see what we can do with it. All right, so do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
I just want to say one more thing. Thank you, Randall, for resigning. The people are very happy.
Oh,
Step down and
Thank you.
thank you, Randall, for being. Okay, first, second motion, did you make
I
a
made a
motion?
motion, yeah.
Do we have a second? Second motion, do we have, is there anyone, first of all, everybody who approves, say aye. Anyone who disagrees, say nay. All right, I think that ends the October meeting.
Okay.
Thank you very much.